big question that everyone always asks me is, when should I buy crypto and when should I sell my crypto? So in this video, I'm going to give you guys 5 key tools and signals so you know when the best time to buy crypto and the best time to sell crypto is. The first tool you need to be looking at is CoinMarketCap's Crypto Fear and Greed Index. So CoinMarketCap's Crypto Fear and Greed Index is a chart with an indicator showing when there is extreme fear or extreme greed in the market with a scale from 0 to 100. So I just took myself off screen so you guys can actually see this chart. But anyway, right now we're actually at 24, which means we are in the fear side of this market in crypto. So usually when we are very low on the chart, right now at 24, which is around fear, and if you go under 20, that is extreme fear. Usually everything is currently down right now. Everything's low. No one's really buying. Everyone's just kind of selling off or shorting the market. And on the opposite side, when we get into the greed or extreme greed, which is over 80, that is when everyone is buying, and there's a lot of FOMO going on, and people are just starting to long the market. Everyone's buying in, whether it's a Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, everyone is just buying in the market. And we actually saw that previously back in around December, November of 2024. So about like 2 to 3 months ago, we saw extreme greed in the market, and now we're literally at extreme fear. What people use the Crypto Fear and Greed Index for is to figure out when to buy and sell. And if you are buying when we are in extreme greed, well, you're buying with most likely 99% of other people. And if you are selling down here right now where we are at 24 when we're fearful, or when we're below 24 of extreme fear, you are selling when everyone else is selling. So what people actually use this indicator for is when we're low in the 20s and 30s, really just anywhere below 50, when we're in the fearful section, people tend to buy when others are selling. And then when we get into the greed and extreme greed section of this indicator, when everyone is FOMOing in, almost feels like everyone is talking about crypto, your friends are texting about crypto, they're asking for advice, that is when people are selling. Now, I don't think that this chart specifically looks at when we are at peak euphoria in the market and when all our alts have done 10 to 100 X's, but I do think it is a good idea to hedge the market here. So when we get into extreme greed, it might be a good idea to take some profits. I mean, you never know how long we're going to be in the extreme greed section. It could be like a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or how high we'll actually get to. I do think, like I said, when we get here, it's a good idea just to hedge, go into some stable coins, go into the actual coin of each chain if you're holding altcoins. And when we get down into the fearful section, I do think it is a little risky to buy down here. However, when you buy when everyone else is fearful, that is when you get the generational entries. And what I'm going to leave you with in this section is a quote from Warren Buffett. And he always said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful." So right now, when the market is in extreme fear, it is very fearful. When we're down to our 20s and 30s in the Crypto Fear and Index chart, that is when you want to buy. You want to be greedy when others are fearful. And then when we get up to extreme greed, that is when you want to be fearful when others are greedy. The next chart to look when to buy and sell in the market is actually the Bitcoin rainbow price chart. So as silly as this may actually be, this rainbow price chart of Bitcoin has actually called several tops and bottoms for Bitcoin. And the colors on this chart of this rainbow actually have meaning to them, which the lowest on the chart actually being when Bitcoin is dead. As you go up, it then tells you when basically there's a fire sale of Bitcoin. Green when it's actually telling you to buy, when to accumulate, all the way up to when FOMO intensifies. So when we start to get into a peak bull run, and that would kind of be around this orange layer. And then when to sell, when we get up here in this red zone, and then the maximum bubble territory, which we actually went past back early when Bitcoin first came out in 2013. So I'm actually going to take a look at the last 2 cycles with the Bitcoin rainbow price chart. So every 4 years we have a halving. This halving was 2016, and then we saw our peak euphoria late 2017, early 2018. This line then it represents the 2020 halving, and we actually saw our bull run peak a little bit earlier in 2021 around like April, May, and then we saw another little leg up late 2021 in Q4 around December, November range. The important part to know about this is that around the halving, which happened in 2016 and 2020, well, this chart literally told you to start buying Bitcoin just around the halving. As you can see, Bitcoin was kind of in that blue-green section of the rainbow. And then peak euphoria, well, in this chart, it hit red. And then actually in the 2021 cycle, it actually just hit the orange. So it didn't go into red. So people that were waiting for red actually got wrecked in the market probably if they weren't taking profits. So where are we in this cycle? If we take a look at the chart right now with the 2024 halving back in April, we are still kind of in that blue-green buy zone for Bitcoin, which is at $83,000. And you need to be careful because if you look at the last two halvings, guys, well, obviously it's going to tell you to sell around red because FOMO intensifies when it gets into orange. But people in the 2021 cycle that were waiting for red, waiting for peak euphoria, didn't actually get there. So my suggestion, you don't know what's going to happen this cycle. You can't predict anything. This chart isn't absolutely perfect, but I do think that it's a great indicator. I would not be waiting for this chart to get to red, which would actually be 800,000 Bitcoin. Like that would be crazy if you wait for that. Obviously, you would make a lot of money, but it's very risky. Even if you wait for the red, orange, or orange part of this chart. Remember, orange is what we hit last cycle. And that, as you can see right here, is around $438,000. If I'm being completely honest, once we get into this yellow green section, which is a lot lower here, once we get into this yellow green section, and this is actually a little bit high, yellow is 234,000 and the yellow green section is 169,000. So to be honest, once we start getting to that $150,000 to $200,000 range for Bitcoin, I would definitely start taking profits, or honestly, if you're happy with what you made, take it all out. Now, yes, could you sell early if we go to 800,000 and hit red? That would be a tragedy. But to be honest, it's better than getting wrecked and then this chart going back into the blue or even purple and it just dies out. So overall, I do think that this Bitcoin rainbow price chart is pretty good. Is it the only thing that you should be looking at? Absolutely not. My actual next three indicators, I think, are even better than these first two. So my third indicator of when to buy and sell is the total 3 chart. So the total 3 chart right here is every coin in crypto excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if I go to CoinMarketCap, literally after Bitcoin and Ethereum, every single coin in crypto below it, XRP, Tether, BNB, Solana, Cardano, everything below it, even all your meme coins, even Dogecoin, this chart literally shows the whole entire market cap of all those coins, hence being total 3. So why is this chart so important? Because it is our altcoin index. And if we take a look at last cycle, it's the same thing. These cycles go in 4 years. They revolve around the halving and the elections, just how it works out. Last cycle, after the 2020 election, our altcoins didn't go into price discovery until it broke the previous all-time high from 2017. And if we go to this cycle where we are at right now, after the 2024 election, our chart actually just barely went over the previous all-time high of last cycle, right around a little bit after the election actually, but since has gone down. So until this chart goes back past our previous all-time high, we're just going to kind of sit in this range with all our altcoins like XRB, Cardano, BNB, everything until we get past this previous cycle. Because like I said, this total 3 is an index of every single coin besides Bitcoin and Ethereum. But the whole point of this, guys, right now would be a good time to buy any altcoin. Why? Because we're not in price discovery of the total 3 chart. If you bought anywhere in here from May of 2022 until November of 2023, this would have been a great buy on any single altcoin. Like XRP was literally under like 50 cents, and right now it's like over $2. It actually went over $3 not too long ago. But anyway, all the altcoins you want to be buying when this chart is bottomed out, when it's below its previous all-time high. And if this chart then goes on past our previous all-time high, that is when we were going to get that parabolic run for all altcoins. I mean, XRP could go over $5. Dogecoin could even hit $1 or go past it. Like every single coin, even our new coins, Pepe, that's a new meme coin. So this is a great indicator. If you see the total 3 chart, the market cap of this chart go past its all-time high, which is around 1.12 trillion. If it goes by it, I think anywhere in here, you definitely want to start taking some profit, guys. I don't have time to go over why I picked 2 trillion as the cycle top for this chart. I talked about it in another video, so go check that out. But if you guys see it go to 2 trillion, you definitely want to be taking a lot of profits. I can guarantee that. That will probably be almost peak euphoria. Now, I'm not 100% positive it'll get to 2 trillion market cap, but looking based on previous cycles and what might happen, I do think that 2 trillion is in the play. But literally anywhere above 1.1 trillion, you definitely want to start taking some profit, guys, because around this point was when we saw XRP go over $3. So I can just imagine if we get the 2 trillion market cap of our altcoin index for total 3, what some of the prices of these coins might be. It's going to get crazy. The next indicator that you must be watching is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So this is my ETH BTC chart. And for those of you that don't know what it is, when this chart is going up, that means Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And when this chart is going down, that means Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. And this chart is absolutely crucial because this is essentially another altcoin indicator. So if you guys remember when Dogecoin went absolutely parabolic, that was when Ethereum was clearly outperforming Bitcoin, and it went on this crazy run in early 2021. This is literally March of 2021 and until around May 2021. So if you remember from that time around 4 years ago, literally from 4 years ago in like a month or two from now, Dogecoin went absolutely parabolic. And that is mostly because people were selling their Bitcoin, right? So if Ethereum is going up, that means Ethereum is doing better than Bitcoin, which meant that people made profits from Bitcoin in the cycle and were rotating it into Ethereum and other coins. So after that peak bull run, we saw Dogecoin hit around like 60, 70 cents. And then what happened? You could see here that Bitcoin then went to outperform the whole market. Well, it outperformed Ethereum on this chart. And when it outperforms Ethereum, it outperforms the whole entire market. So Bitcoin was a better hold from around 2022 until literally today. So this chart is important because if we see another parabolic run like we saw in early 2021, if we see this chart do something like this, I can almost guarantee you that Ethereum is going to go past its all-time high. It's going to go past $4,000 or $5,000. We could see Dogecoin go back up to 70 cents to a dollar or pass it, and every other coin like XRP, Cardano, Solana, and all our meme coins go absolutely parabolic. So this chart you must be watching. And this ties into the whole entire reason for this video, guys. If we do see the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, if we see Ethereum start to outperform and it starts to go up, like I said, I can almost guarantee that Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin, all your meme coins are going to start to go parabolic. So when it starts to move up, you're going to want to take some profits. The last indicator is the Bitcoin dominance chart. So looking at this chart right now, Bitcoin is around 60%. Think of this chart as a pie chart representing all of crypto. If you think of it as a pie chart, think of 60% of that chart being Bitcoin. So of all of the cryptocurrencies that exist, 60% of all the money right now is in Bitcoin. So what does this mean? Well, let's take a look at last cycle. Last cycle, we saw the top around May of 2021. And this kind of lines up with all the other charts that I just showed you guys, because a lot of those peak euphoria with Dogecoin, XRP, all the other altcoins happened around May of 2021. But what's the reason for this? That is when Bitcoin dominance, that pie chart representing Bitcoin, literally bottomed out. Because when people first made money with Bitcoin, then they rotated all their profits into these other coins like Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoin. When this happened, literally Bitcoin dominance went down to like just under 40%. So that meant 20% of money that was in Bitcoin literally got rotated into all these other coins. And then after that cycle top, we actually stood in this range for a decent amount of time, literally until 2022. It was only about like 6 or 7 months we had that peak euphoria. But if you got in down here, you probably just ranged for like 6 months, which most people got in around summer of 2021. So you didn't really make any money. People that got in up here actually made money. So where are we right now? For the past literally around like 2 to 3 years, Bitcoin has been dominating the market and getting that 20% back. Right now, where we are, over 60% dominance from Bitcoin. If we see this chart start to go down and start to tank, even if it gets below 50%, closer to 40%, that is when literally 10, 15, 20% of all the money in crypto is being rotated from Bitcoin to Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, Dogecoins, every other coin. And that is when we're going to see this peak euphoria. So if you are holding a coin and you see this chart start to go to 50%, 45%, and it starts to creep towards that 40%, you're definitely going to want to think about start taking some profits of whatever you're holding, because eventually we are going to bottom out on this chart and people are going to start rotating their profits into a safer asset in crypto. Well, the safest asset, Bitcoin. And to finish with Bitcoin dominance, you guys need to be careful with like all of these charts that I just showed you. Right now, if you're looking at this line that I have marked out at 35%, so why do I have 35% marked out? That was actually the previous cycle before 2021 where Bitcoin dominance bottomed out. And you need to be careful with these charts. And this is the main reason, because 35% was where Bitcoin dominance bottomed out. In the 2021 cycle, some people were probably waiting for Bitcoin to get to 35% dominance, and that just never happened. It only went to 40%. That little 5% gap, if you waited to try to get another 5% on this chart, well, you probably got wrecked. That's why I'm telling you guys, I actually have 40% and 35 marked out on this chart, but you need to take profits along the way because we may only get to 45% or even 50% this cycle. We really don't know. So I do think it's okay to leave like a little bit and wait for that 40% to get hit. I mean, it could go down to 35% this cycle like it did 2 cycles ago. No one knows, but you just have to be careful. So that's why I usually tell people, mark out levels on this chart. So maybe you're going to want to go on, mark out 50%, mark out 45% where you take a little bit more profit. Don't just always wait for what happened last cycle because as you guys can see, it doesn't always happen, especially with the rainbow chart that I showed you earlier on. Everyone waited for Bitcoin to get to the red section of the rainbow chart. And what happened? It only got to orange. So you have to be very careful and actually understand these charts and what you're doing. The most important aspect of this video, guys, is that you shouldn't be waiting for other people to tell you when to buy and when to sell. I made it to inform you on 5 signals, 5 indicators that people use to make their own decisions. Just like I showed you with the last chart. Clearly, it says that at 40% is when we bottomed last cycle, but that might not happen. So if you see some other YouTubers say, wait for 35%, wait for peak euphoria, Bitcoin's going to 30% dominance. That may never happen. And if you wait, you're just going to lose all your money. So you need to do your own research. Although I just showed you all these 5 indicators to look at, you need to do your more research into each one of these and come up with your own conviction on when you should be buying in the market and when you should be selling in the market. So don't just listen to what everyone else has to say. You can take that information, but use that information to make your own informative decision. I also have a free Discord. I'll have that linked in the bio below. I put daily market analysis and technical analysis in my Discord. You guys can go in there, ask me any questions. It is absolutely free, so make sure you guys join that. If you're looking for something a little bit more sophisticated, I do recommend Champs Only. It is a paid Discord. However, I am in that Discord. I highly recommend it. I do have an affiliate link for that down below. They're literally calling out meme coins that are doing 10, 20, 30 X's like daily, so definitely go check that out if you're looking for something that's more in the trenches type of vibe. Also, make sure to go follow me on X, guys. I leave out daily alpha on that every single day. I do think crypto Twitter is the thing that you should be on anyway, regardless. So I do follow some good KOLs. You can see who I'm following to get a good idea of where I get some of my information from on crypto Twitter as well. But you need to be on crypto Twitter. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and as always, I will see you in the next one.